Welcome back, everyone, to Beyond the Veil.
It's good to be here.
This is the space where we really try to slow down the noise, to delve into the kinds of insights that, guide and illuminate the path for awakening souls. We really appreciate you joining us as we unpack some pretty critical truths today.
And today we're looking at a transmission that I know it's profoundly impacted so many light workers and empaths.
The exact community that Starseed Psychics really dedicates itself to serving.
Exactly. And the core document for our whole discussion is this incredibly powerful and clarifying piece from the founder of Starseed Psychics, Master Psychic Spirit Walker. It's titled, "You're Not Broken, You're Remembering."
Just that title alone, I mean, what a shot of relief for so many people who hear that.
It's a reframe in 4 words.
It really is.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to explore that deep, that pervasive feeling of being off, that quiet ache that so many of us know that seems to accompany spiritual growth, and to understand why Spirit Walker argues it is not a sign of personal failure.
Or some kind of psychological deficit.
Right, but that it's actually the clear, undeniable activation of ancient memory.
Right.
We're going to take that feeling of being, pathologically displaced and try to reframe it entirely.
Absolutely. We're providing a new framework for you, the learner, who is out there seeking knowledge and, I think, validation.
Validation is a huge piece of it.
It is. I mean, if you've spent years, maybe decades, trying to fix something inside yourself that doesn't seem to have a solution, the key takeaway here is just transformative. That feeling of misalignment isn't a flaw.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
It is. It's a sign that your deep self is emerging, and you are paradoxically right on time.
Okay, so let's unpack this quiet ache first, because the way Spirit Walker describes it is with this unnerving precision that I think just resonates immediately.
It really does.
He talks about individuals who are on the outside, completely functioning, they're capable.
You're meeting all the demands.
Yeah, all of them. They hold down jobs, they manage family logistics, they pay the bills on time, they maintain relationships. They are, by all external measures, successful adults.
The exterior is a perfect portrait of competence. The world sees a person who is operating at 95% efficiency.
Right.
But Spirit Walker's insight, it's not about that 95%.
Yeah.
It's focused entirely on the 5% just beneath the surface.
That's where the truth is.
That's where it is. He notes that despite all this outward functionality, there is this persistent, quiet hum of dissatisfaction.
A hum is a great word for it.
It is. It's a deep, constant sense of displacement. And it's not some dramatic emotional crisis. It's more like a low-grade energetic friction.
It's a chronic, low-level dissonance. We're not talking about clinical depression here.
Not at all.
We're talking about the soul feeling like it's wearing an incompatible avatar. It's that feeling of never quite fitting into the speed or the prevailing values or just the sheer volume of noise that defines modern life. It's like your internal calibration is set to a frequency that simply isn't being broadcast where you currently live.
And that is an exhausting way to exist. I mean, think about the analogy the source implies. It's like wearing shoes that are one size too small.
Yeah.
You can walk in them. You could probably even run a marathon if you had to. But every single step generates friction and rubbing and eventual exhaustion. The pain isn't acute. It's not a sharp stabbing pain.
No, it's the persistence of it.
It's the persistence of the discomfort that wears you down over years and years. And that is the perfect definition of that quiet ache.
Okay, so here's the pivot point. Because when people feel this quiet displacement, especially in Western society, the default assumption is almost always rooted in pathology.
Always. What's wrong with me?
Exactly. If you are functional on the outside, but you're internally miserable, the prevailing social narrative, and often the medical one suggests, there must be something wrong with you.
Right. You're deficient. You need to adapt better.
You need medication, or you just need to try harder to accept the status quo. Just get with the program.
And that narrative, which equates this profound inner discomfort with some fundamental personal failure, is what Spirit Walker absolutely, and I mean forcefully, refutes. He just draws a line in the sand.
And what does he say?
He says that feeling that you don't belong doesn't mean you are broken. His core thesis is stated so clearly, it doesn't. It means you're remembering.
That is just, it's profoundly liberating, especially if you're a learner type who has spent so much time in self-correction mode, always trying to fix yourself.
Yes.
This shift just takes all the pressure off the need to fix the self. If the problem isn't a broken individual, but a surfacing memory that's clashing with the environment, well, the focus changes entirely.
It shifts from deficiency to discernment.
Yeah.
You suddenly realize that the ache isn't a mistake. It's a highly accurate message. The friction you feel is the difference between the, let's say, the lower vibration of your current surroundings and the higher vibration of your internal memory.
Yeah.
You aren't failing to adapt.
You're just noticing.
You're simply discerning the lack of compatibility. And that realization, it validates the instinct that this discomfort is a message demanding to be listened to, not some mistake demanding to be silenced.
That is such a vital reframing. It moves the seeker out of a place of shame and into a place of recognition.
Yes.
When you understand that the struggle is the memory surfacing, you stop trying to force the square peg of your soul into the round hole of modern expectations.
And you realize the square peg was the correct shape all along.
The hole is just designed incorrectly for you.
Right. And that recognition, it just opens up the whole conversation. It forces us to explore, okay, so what exactly is being remembered that generates such profound spiritual friction?
Well, and that leads to one of the most surprising and, I think, critical insights Spirit Walker offers, and that is that awakening often starts not with some glorious breakthrough, but with a deep sense of loss.
Which is so counterintuitive. We're culturally conditioned to believe that spiritual growth has to be this ascent into immediate joy.
Right. Bright lights, sudden clarity, constant happiness.
Instant bliss. That's the expectation.
Yeah.
And so when we feel sadness or this profound yearning or emotional turbulence after a moment of spiritual clarity, we immediately think,
I did it wrong.
I must have done it wrong. I'm regressing. I'm going backwards. But Spirit Walker clarifies that the truth is often much heavier. Remembering often begins as grief.
And he categorizes this grief so beautifully because it's not the standard bereavement we associate with losing someone in this lifetime.
This is different.
This is existential grief. The first form he names is the grief for something that cannot be named. It's this amorphous, profound sadness, a sense of having lost a treasure you can no longer articulate or even locate.
It's the closest thing to phantom limb pain for the soul.
Wow, that's a great way to put it.
You know, something fundamental is missing, and the emptiness vibrates with this strange familiarity. But you cannot point to a specific event or an object in this life that explains the scope of the void.
No.
That unnameable loss is the echo of forgetting where you came from entirely.
And the second form of grief is related to that. It's the grief for a familiar but unreachable way of being.
Unreachable. That's the key word.
It is. This implies the memory of, what, a dimensional state or a past life where the rules of engagement were just entirely different.
Right. Maybe existence was slower or more fluid, or it was governed by intuitive connection rather than, logical constraint.
And the profound difference here is that the memory is sharp enough to be familiar. You feel the contour of that forgotten existence. You can almost taste it.
Yes.
But because it is temporally or dimensionally unreachable from your current vantage point, that familiarity itself becomes agonizing.
It's like standing on the shore watching your true home sail away over the horizon.
Exactly. And the third, and this is maybe the most prevalent form in modern life, is the grief for a slower, truer rhythm that is entirely absent in the current world.
This one hits close to home for anyone living in a major city or, immersed in the digital economy.
Absolutely.
That true rhythm, it operates on cycles of nature, deep presence, and the necessity of silence. Now, compare that to the relentless artificial pace of 24/7 commerce.
The instantaneity of digital demand.
The constant input of media. The clash between that remembered, cyclical, grounded rhythm and the modern, linear, hyper-stimulated reality. It generates intense mourning.
So a listener might be asking, okay, how is this grieving process helpful? If I'm moving toward awakening, why would I feel heavier, not lighter?
And that is an excellent point that addresses the core risk of misinterpretation here.
Right.
Spirit Walker asserts that this grief is absolutely not regression. It signifies that, and this is a quote, something ancient in you has stirred, and the contrast between what is and what once was has become visible.
So the grief is just the reaction to seeing that contrast clearly for the first time.
It is the appropriate and natural emotional reaction to seeing the stark reality of that contrast.
So the pain is actually a marker of truth.
Yes. When the ancient memory surfaces, it carries such profound reality that the current reality, by comparison, feels thin. It feels flimsy.
That's a good word for it.
The grief is simply the emotional weight of acknowledging this great disparity. You cannot truly begin the process of integration, which is the ultimate goal, until you have acknowledged the loss of seamless connection that you once experienced.
So you're mourning the temporary loss of home.
You are, and you can't move toward building a new integrated life until you acknowledge the profound truth carried by that memory. So the depth of your grief is directly proportional to the magnitude of the truth that has surfaced within you.
Wow.
And that demands respect and acknowledgement, not denial or some kind of spiritual bypass.
Okay, so let's delve further into the physical experience of this displacement, which Spirit Walker frames as the feeling of being an observer. You know this feeling, watching life unfold from the edges. You're there, physically, but you feel profoundly unconnected, or not fully at home in the environment or even in the immediate conversation.
And like you said before, the default interpretation for so many people is, I must be superior looking down on these mundane things. Or, on the flip side,
I'm pathological. I have some deep social failure to assimilate.
right. And Spirit Walker is so careful to clarify this. He says this feeling of otherness is recognition.
Recognition.
It is the soul accurately noticing what is missing. It's discernment, not judgment.
So you aren't failing to adapt to the present world. You're simply and accurately noticing the absence of certain energetic components that were essential in the worlds you remember.
Exactly.
Which begs the question, what specifically is the content of this ancient memory that causes such immediate friction with modern life?
The contrast is just massive, and it explains why the displacement feels so complete. The first element Spirit Walker details is the remembered environment. Souls remember living closer to the land and closer to silence.
Think about the sensory input of that for a second.
Right. In the modern world, even in a relatively quiet room, there's the hum of electronics, the distant traffic, the sheer volume of data just being pushed at you through Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you feel it.
You do. In a remembered past, the dominant sounds were the wind, the cycles of water, and the necessary sounds of human labor.
And that required, and it fostered, a completely different internal state.
Absolutely. The memory of silence is a memory of internal coherence. When that surfaces, the modern urban environment becomes instantly jarring and overwhelming.
Okay, and the second point.
Secondly, the memory entails worlds where existence required living closer to consequence.
What does he mean by that?
Well, in a simple society or a deeply connected community, if you make a careless choice, the consequence is immediate, it's visible, and it often impacts the whole group.
Like if you neglect the crops, everyone goes hungry.
Exactly. There's no buffer. Now contrast that with today's industrial abstracted world. Our consequences, environmental, economic, social, they're often delayed, distanced, outsourced to these complex supply chains.
Right, you can make an ethically questionable purchase on your phone without any immediate physical feedback at all.
None. The memory of immediate consequence implies a deeper responsibility, a deeper impact, and a higher demand for presence and intention in every action.
The third point is maybe the most difficult to integrate.
It is. The memory includes worlds where time moved differently and, critically, where attention was sacred.
Attention was sacred. That's huge.
In those worlds, time wasn't strictly linear or transactional, not in the way we calculate billable hours. It moved based on tasks and needs and seasons.
And attention was a currency. If you gave your attention to something, you were giving your life force. Think about that for a moment in the context of our current attention economy.
Oh my goodness.
Every platform, every app, every single notification is designed specifically to fracture your attention and turn it into data or profit.
So the memory of attention as sacred immediately makes the modern digital landscape feel, well, profane.
It does.
The remembered self just recoils from the fragmented, transactional nature of attention today. And finally, Spirit Walker touches on community. He says starseeds often feel isolated because they remember a time where community meant survival.
And presence meant safety.
Yes, the high stakes necessitated genuine, unfiltered connection and accountability.
In those remembered contexts, true presence wasn't some spiritual goal you worked on. It was a non-negotiable requirement for physical safety and collective well-being.
So when these deep memories surface of silence, consequence, sacred attention, and deep community, the modern world, which is defined by noise, abstraction, fractured focus, and isolation, it feels instantly and profoundly lacking.
Incomplete.
Deeply incomplete. Spirit Walker sums this up by noting that modern life feels hollow, or rushed, or artificially constructed. It's not that it's inherently evil,
No.
but it is incomplete when you compare it to the blueprint of your soul's memory. The ache is the recognition of this incompleteness.
And this contrast, this feeling of being an ancient soul sort of stuffed into a modern box, it can be incredibly overwhelming.
It can be.
We know so many of you grappling with this deep sense of misalignment often feel ungrounded or destabilized. And if you find yourself constantly struggling to integrate this memory with your daily life, that is precisely why guidance and practical tools are so essential.
Right.
We know that Starseed Psychics offers a whole system of support designed specifically for bridging this divide.
Because understanding the memory is just the first step.
Yeah.
Learning how to anchor it in your life, that's the real work.
We'll circle back to where you can find those practical guidance systems and study courses later on. But first, we really need to address the crucial next stage in Spirit Walker's teaching.
Which is the difference between true remembering and mere avoidance.
And this section provides a necessary corrective measure, I think, for a lot of people on the spiritual path.
Yes.
Because when the modern world feels so jarring and so incomplete, the natural temptation is spiritual retreat.
To check out.
To check out entirely, either through constant spiritual fantasy or just outright rejection of your mundane responsibilities.
But that inclination to reject an environment that feels hostile is avoidance, not awakening. And Spirit Walker is absolutely clear that true remembering is not about wishing to disappear or perpetually rejecting the world. The path of the starseed is not escape.
The true work, he argues, is significantly harder.
Much harder.
It demands embodiment. It requires you to stay planted firmly in this physical life while simultaneously holding the high vibration truth of elsewhere inside you.
It's a constant conscious process of integrating ancient memory into your current physical lived reality.
And I think many souls who feel broken are simply struggling with this very difficult integration point.
That's the crux of it.
They have the memory, the vision, the blueprint, but they lack the tools for grounding it and applying it.
And to make this crystal clear, Spirit Walker provides this powerful two-part formula describing why this discomfort arises.
Okay, let's dedicate some time to these 2 points because I think they are essential for self-diagnosis. The first part is, memory without embodiment becomes longing.
So if you intellectually access the beautiful truth of past worlds, the slower pace, the deep connection, but you fail to ground that realization into concrete, practical actions today,
Then what happens?
that memory doesn't serve you. It simply becomes a painful, perpetual yearning, a constant wishing for a place you cannot physically reach.
And what does perpetual longing lead to? I mean, that leads to deep, ongoing sadness, dissatisfaction, a sense of helplessness.
It's completely passive, it's consuming, and it's often mistaken for spiritual depth when it's actually just energetic stagnation.
You're just dwelling in the past or in some ideal, and you're avoiding the challenge of the present.
Exactly. And then there's the reverse scenario, which is equally problematic. Embodiment without memory becomes numbness.
Okay, so this is the individual who, maybe out of necessity or fear, forces themselves to completely conform to the modern rushed pace.
Right. They become hyper-functional, hyper-adapted. They're ticking all the boxes.
They successfully suppress the memory of what could be, and they focus entirely on the pragmatic need to survive here.
They are physically present. They're reliable. They're successful by material standards. But they're empty.
They're numb.
They are numb. They have sacrificed their internal truth for external survival and stability.
So Spirit Walker insists the true path is to hold both states simultaneously. You have to remain grounded in the body, accepting the current environment's limitations, and carry the clear, high-vibration memory of the truer rhythm.
This is why the person struggling so often feels broken. They're attempting to channel a universe of memory through an ungrounded, adapting body.
This brings up a critical question that we often hear from listeners, especially the learner types. Is there a risk of spiritual bypass here? I mean, how do we ensure that this concept of remembering doesn't just become an easy excuse for avoiding mundane responsibilities or necessary psychological work?
That's a vital consideration, and the source addresses it, I think, implicitly through that whole concept of embodiment.
Okay.
Spiritual bypass happens when you use a higher concept, like remembering past lives, to avoid the difficulty of applying that truth to present messy problems.
Like paying your taxes or dealing with difficult relationships.
Exactly. So the test of whether you're truly remembering or merely bypassing lies in the action.
Is action.
If your remembering leads you to become more honest, more responsible, and more present in your daily life, then it's integrated. If it leads you to constant escapism, self-pity, and rejection of necessary adult functions, then it has devolved into longing, which Spirit Walker clearly identifies as the problematic path.
So the discomfort you feel is simply the energetic short circuit caused by the mismatch between memory, your vision, and grounding, the practical application.
It's not a spiritual failure at all. It's an operational imbalance that just needs practical tools to stabilize.
Okay, let's move into the uncomfortable reality of this process, because it sounds very logical when we discuss it like this.
It does.
But in the moment, when memory floods in and everything feels unstable, it feels exactly like you are falling apart. It feels like breaking down, not building up.
And that feeling is entirely rational given the scale of the internal shift that's happening. Spirit Walker describes this destabilizing process as the loosening of identity.
The mental structures, the personality, the roles you used to rely on.
The good daughter,
Yeah.
the career
The
professional.
reliable friend.
Exactly. They all start to feel flimsy, maybe even performative.
And that realization is terrifying. It's terrifying because the nervous system equates the loss of any major structure with the loss of survival.
Of course.
If my job or my family role defined me, and now that definition feels like a hollow shell, the brain immediately registers a deep, profound danger. It's the psychological equivalent of realizing the foundation of your house is rotting.
And the body reacts accordingly, even if the change is ultimately positive for the soul.
The nervous system doesn't differentiate.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't know the difference between structural loss due to trauma and structural loss due to a spiritual upgrade. It just registers loss of predictability,
Which is threat.
which is threat.
Yeah.
And this is why we see these intense physical and emotional manifestations that feel like failure, but which Spirit Walker clearly identifies as signs of reorganization.
Let's elaborate on those specific reactions, because recognizing them as reorganization instead of illness offers just tremendous relief.
It really does.
Spirit Walker details 3 key symptoms: intense fatigue, heightened emotional sensitivity, and a strong, almost desperate need for withdrawal and solitude.
And that fatigue is more than just feeling tired.
No.
It's the sheer energetic cost of running a new, higher voltage memory, this massive, complex blueprint, through an old, adapting electrical grid.
Yeah.
Your physical vessel is literally rebuilding its energy pathways and processing an immense amount of vibrational data.
And that effort just drains resources far beyond a typical night's sleep deficit.
Way beyond. And the heightened emotional sensitivity, it means the filters are down. The old armor of numbness that allowed you to tolerate the dissonance of modern life is just gone.
So you're suddenly feeling everything.
Everything. The contrast, the consequence, the collective pain of the world around you acutely. Small events that you used to be able to just ignore now land with the weight of a truck.
And the withdrawal, that profound need for solitude.
That's a necessary self-preservation measure. The soul is desperate to escape the external noise so that this internal reconstruction, this reorganization, can proceed safely and without external interference.
It's the psyche saying, I need to go offline to install the necessary updates.
That's a perfect way to put it. And the analogy Spirit Walker provides here is so helpful. He says, just as muscles ache when they relearn how to move or when they build new capacity after being stagnant for a long time.
The psyche aches when it relearns how to be.
Right. The pain is not a sign of failure. It is the evidence of growth. It's the dismantling of the old infrastructure to make way for the expansive remembering self.
And this leads to that universal worry of the awakening soul, the pressure of timelines.
Oh, yes. I'm behind.
I'm behind. Everyone else seems to have their life figured out, and here I am, I'm unraveling.
Spirit Walker addresses this fear directly. He offers profound reassurance that remembering follows readiness, not arbitrary schedules.
He identifies 3 precise conditions that dictate the timing of this profound awakening. You remember first when the environment can hold it.
Meaning you've established enough external stability or safety or physical space in your life to withstand the radical internal shift.
So the shift won't destroy your life entirely. You have some kind of foundational anchor.
Right. Second, you remember when the body can survive it. The physical vessel, the energetic wiring, it must be prepared enough to handle the energetic intensity of the memory.
The body dictates the pace.
Always. Because integration requires physical embodiment. If the memory is too powerful too soon, the body would simply short-circuit entirely.
And the third condition is the most critical and often the most uncomfortable. You remember when forgetting no longer works.
Yes. The soul has reached a point of such severe misalignment, such powerful friction between the memory and the current reality, that staying asleep or continuing to live by the old incomplete blueprint is fundamentally more painful than waking up and dealing with the chaos of reorganization.
So, if things feel chaotic, if your identity feels like it's falling apart, it's not a sign that you failed the test or missed the bus.
No.
It's a sign that the old scaffolding, that temporary identity you constructed for external survival, has finally done its job and is now structurally unnecessary. The system is just clearing itself for the permanent installation of the higher self.
So we've established that the pain has direction and the chaos is actually reorganization. The final, actionable step Spirit Walker offers is the invitation to live while remembering.
Right. And the goal is not to romanticize the past or to chase these fleeting visions.
No.
The goal is to let this profound memory inform, guide, and dictate how you live now.
And this shifts the entire focus from some, cosmic metaphysical pursuit to a practical daily application of wisdom. We're taking the ancient blueprint of sacred attention and deep consequence, and we're applying it to the most mundane aspects of the present moment.
That is the definition of integrated embodiment.
It is.
This application, it crystallizes into specific, measurable choices that Spirit Walker outlines. And the first one is the commitment to slower choices. Memory reminds you that true consequence requires careful consideration, not instant, frantic reactivity. When your past self remembers a time when every action had immediate impact, you automatically learn to pause.
And this is a radical practice in a society that rewards speed and impulsivity.
Completely radical.
Slowing down your choices, whether it's what you consume, how you respond to an email, or where you dedicate your energy, that is honoring the memory of consequence. It's placing quality and presence above speed.
The second application, clearer boundaries.
Oh, this is a big one.
It's huge. When you remember a world where attention and energy were sacred, protected resources necessary for community survival, you become fiercely protective of your current energy.
You learn to say no.
You learn to say no, not out of malice, but out of necessity for maintaining your internal coherence.
These boundaries are the practical infrastructure that keeps that old electrical grid from short-circuiting.
Yeah.
If you are constantly allowing the noise and the fragmented demands of the world to pull your focus, you can never effectively channel the massive energetic blueprint of memory.
So clear boundaries create the sacred container necessary for integration.
Yes.
The third is deeper listening. And this is, it's dual focused.
How so?
Internally, it means listening to the quiet voice beneath the ache, trusting the specific direction of your discomfort. But externally, it means listening to the land, to the people around you, and to the silent needs of your environment with true, unfragmented presence.
And finally, the fourth application, which is really foundation to all the others. More honesty about what drains you and what restores you. This requires ruthless self-assessment.
It does.
The memory provides the blueprint for restoration, silence, land, community, and the modern world provides 1,000 ways to drain you.
Unnecessary socializing, doom scrolling, chasing external validation.
All of it. Honesty is the ultimate energy management plan, and it's informed by ancient truth.
And these are not, revolutionary actions in and of themselves, but they are revolutionary in their intentionality.
Yes.
They're small, daily acts of reverence for the remembering self. And critically, Spirit Walker offers the listener freedom from the need to perform or explain this profound internal work.
He grants permission to keep this work sacred and private. He states, and I love this quote, "You don't need to explain your remembering to anyone. You don't need to prove it. You don't need to turn it into an identity. You only need to honor it quietly."
And that releases so much pressure, the pressure to use spiritual terms or past life memory as some kind of public identity.
Which is often what happens when memory devolves into that longing we talked about, or becomes a social performance.
Exactly. By honoring it quietly, you ensure the energy remains internal and grounded, and that fosters the necessary integration and embodiment. The memory is for your guidance, not for public validation.
And this commitment to quiet honoring brings us to Spirit Walker's final powerful thought. It provides the seeker with a reliable compass in times of uncertainty. It's the distinction between meaningless chaos and directed truth.
He notes, broken things feel chaotic and random. If you are truly damaged, the experience is nonsensical. It has no discernible pattern, no trajectory, no meaning. It's just random suffering.
But he continues, remembering feels specific.
Specific.
That specificity is the key indicator that you are not broken. If your ache has a direction, if your longing feels profoundly familiar, and if your discomfort, despite its difficulty, carries meaning, if you can identify why you are struggling, then nothing is wrong with you. You are not broken.
You are remembering.
You are remembering. The memory provides the narrative context that eliminates the chaos.
And that clarity, that sense of a recognizable and specific pattern of pain, that is the ultimate validation that this is divine navigation, not damage.
What an illuminating exploration of the truth, that feeling lost or displaced is, in fact, the higher self steering the ship.
It really is. Thank you for joining us as we took this comprehensive look into Master Psychic Spirit Walker's extraordinary transmission.
And for those of you who really resonate with Spirit Walker's framework, specifically that need to balance memory with grounded embodiment, and you're seeking focused one-on-one integration tools, the Starseed Psychics organization provides expert guidance.
Exactly. If you feel like you need a consistent anchor in this process, you have the opportunity to hire Master Psychic Spirit Walker himself, or the equally intuitive and powerful Mistress Gypsy Wind, as your personal intuitive coach.
And these are tailored services specifically designed to help you integrate these large spiritual shifts into achievable daily life changes.
You can find all the information regarding the intuitive coaching services, as well as the complete Starseed services, shamanic readings, and spiritual home and online study courses directly through the Starseed Psychic site.
That website is located at www.nomadic-enterprises.com. You can go there to explore the depth of their offerings and find the exact path to help you ground your specific memory.
And we have some exciting news from the author. Master Psychic Spirit Walker has just released his newest book.
Oh, fantastic.
It's titled The Journey to the Top Summiting the San Francisco Peaks, and it details his inspiring spiritual pilgrimage and physical ascent to the highest point of those peaks.
An incredible read, I'm sure, for anyone who is currently navigating their own demanding summit.
Absolutely. We will make sure that the links for the intuitive coaches, the Starseed Psychic services, and Spirit Walker's newest book are all provided right there in the description for easy access.
Perfect.
And finally, as you move forward in your day, we want you to carry this final provocative thought with you. If Spirit Walker is right that your pain is direction, then we have to ask, what is the single comfortable habit you are using right now every day to distract yourself and prevent that specific memory from breathing?
Until next time, keep remembering and keep honoring the ache as a signpost it truly is.
We'll see you next time on Beyond the Veil.